progress.
And I love that because I think so many of us.
Recording in progress.
I love that because I think so many of us.
Recording in progress.
I love all
I don't know
these
how I'm going to
things.
get paid.
We
When am I supposed to
produce
get paid?
amazing things and put them into the world, but we might not be amazing at marketing ourselves, or we might need a refresh on like
facility.
what is going on in marketing now. So what was it that attracted
So we're
you to
here
marketing?
at
How did
the
you get
Hideout
started?
Studio in Las Vegas with Mr. Kevin
Yeah, that's a really good
Churko.
question.
So I made
So basically, how I
13
got into
cent over
marketing
here,
when I was in high
25 cent over
school,
here, $1 here.
I had
What
over
you choose
100,000
to use
followers
for
on. Well, actually,
bass defines
take it
more
back a
than
little,
almost any
further.
other element
I
the
started
direction
like
of the
I had a
song.
buddy
No situation I'm
who had,
aware
like,
of where
lot of
a
followers
label's
on
going to help
social
somebody
media,
who hasn't
and
already
he had like these little small
the
groups on
negatives of
Kick,
an Apple
old app,
system.
and we're doing like shout out for shout out with people,
Basically,
just like helping each other
come
gain
configured.
following and just
No, he
like
stole that
posting
song
like
from me.
you know trying
And it
to
gets
find
ugly
your
on
old
the back end.
pictures from
Big
2014,
hug
like
to the Lions. You guys are the best. Always the best. And I'll see you next time.
So we were doing stuff like that back in high school, and I garnered up to over 100,000 followers. And back then, there was no such thing as boosting followers or anything like that. It was like solely off of like the work of just like engaging with each other and just like engaging with your fans and just doing shout out for shout out, like I said, with other people of your stature and higher. So that's kind of how I got into marketing, even though I didn't even know the terminology like marketing. I was actually like doing marketing back then, and I didn't, I was unaware. And so I guess how I got into marketing now is, I started as a musician. I was signed to Empire. I sold out shows in downtown Nashville. I was working with a lot of really cool artists and playing on the radio. And I knew what I had to do for myself. Long story short, I got into the business aspect. I got married, settled down, and I realized that that's something that I have like a lot of knowledge in, because I've been doing marketing for myself and for like my team for so long, not only on social media as like an influencer, but also when I became a musician, I was marketing my music, and everybody was wondering how I was getting all these connections and how I was gaining my fan base, when, you know what I'm saying? So I use like some of the assets that I took from being a musician and actually having that experience. And I took it over to the business aspect, and now I'm helping other people, with the same type of stuff that took me like 10 years to learn. And so that's one thing that I really, really enjoy about this. And it's one reason why I really feel like I have a good connection with people that I work with, is because like a lot of the people that are in my industry, social media marketing and just like helping people market and advertise their music and stuff like that. A lot of times they've never had any experience in marketing, and they're just suit and tie kind of guys, you know what I'm saying? And they're all business. But like to be a person who actually was in the music scene, did music, shot music videos all over the world or all over America, and just, like had like tons of experience being a musician myself, I feel like I can relate more to people, because like I understand what it's like, to have like little to nothing to work with and just kind of like, figure out like, okay, like what can I do with this to like advance to the next level and stuff. So that's kind of how I got to where I am.
Yeah, it's really cool that you have an inside perspective and you're not just like some random guy that knows about some sort of marketing.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's helped me a lot.
I would like to ask you so having been on both sides, but having been on the artist side and on the music marketing side of it, what do you think is the most common misconception that artists have about marketing themselves?
There's probably a lot. I'd say that, yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. So being on the, musician side, I feel like I'm a lot more skeptical about everything. And I feel like everyone's watching my every move. Whereas on the business side, I realized if I had just took a little bit more chances, had a little bit more of an open mind to certain things, it might have taken my career to the next level. You know what I'm saying? So, and I mean, like to elaborate a little bit further, like, okay, so like certain types of campaigns that I service right now that I wish so badly that I had access to when I was a musician. But I know my old self, and from when I was a musician, from that perspective, I feel like I would have been turned off by certain types of things. Like, obviously there's a lot of scams out there, but you also have to have an open mind and just talk to people. You never know like who you might meet and who actually is like legitimate about what they're talking about, you know? So obviously just take everything with a grain of salt, but also be open-minded. And I feel like a lot of music artists, like they're like very closed-minded, like especially me, myself, I've worked with, you know, dozens of artists that were so skeptical. I'm like, dude, if you would just trust me, like, I know what I'm talking about. I could help you. So like, because a lot of people are like very stubborn, and I get that because I was a stubborn musician as well. And just like certain things. And I've talked to people who are just like, no, I got this, man. Like, I'm gonna, you know, I know what I'm doing. I'm like, okay. I mean, you know, to each his own, you know, like you can't help people that don't want to be helped. But at the same time, I'm like, I can trust me. Like, I have experience in this field. Like I have, you know, I've worked with a lot of major artists, and I know exactly what labels are looking for. I know a lot of very, very credible label people as well. And so, I mean, it's just sad to see from my perspective. Cause I'm like, man, like, especially when someone's like very talented as well, it's just like that's a huge misconception because they don't understand that like I can actually help them, and they're so caught in like, you know, if I just keep putting out music and I just keep putting out content, like that'll get me there, you know, but they don't understand that like you have to market and advertise behind that as well.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So, okay, so having talked about like those kind of clients, because I'm sure you sometimes meet with people and it doesn't work out because of the closed-minded mentality sometimes. I know your client list is ridiculous. We've been looking at it, and you don't have to name names on this part, but do you have clients that have been like a dream clients to work with because of like their open-mindedness, mindedness, or how they're willing to work with you? What makes that client for you? Like, what is your dream client as far as like they're willing to work with you in certain ways?
Yeah, that's a good question. So as sad as this is, I mean, when I explain it, it's obviously pretty obvious that this is what it is. Typically the bigger clients are the easiest to work with. And it doesn't have to be like B-list celebrities. I'm talking about just people that have stature, have credibility, have very professional quality music videos and you know, pictures, and you know what I'm saying? You can tell that they put money and invest behind their product, which is their music. And so those people are typically a lot easier to work with. I saw a meme, and this just kind of like garnered to like the whole like influencer entrepreneur niche, and it was just like it said like $500 deals, and it's just like haggling me or whatever, like just stress, like, are you sure this isn't a scam? And it showed like on the bottom it said $50,000 deals, and it said money sent. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you know what I'm saying? It's like it's a different level, different concept, and it's just like. So typically like the bigger artists are people that are a lot easier to work with because they understand and they're not skeptical anymore. They know, you know what I'm saying? They know what it takes. And so they're getting there. I've worked with so many artists who like, you know, I've helped them so much, but then like they're doing other things as well, working with other people, and like they're doing really well now. They're you know, meeting with labels. I've worked with artists that are now closing deals with major labels and doing like music videos with like major artists and stuff. And it was all because they were open-minded, and like nothing I ever said marketing wise, they ever shut down. They were never like, no, I'm not doing that kind of stuff. They were always like, even if they didn't like move forward with me on a specific like deal, like they were always like, dude, that sounds pretty dope. Like if I don't want to, maybe not now, but I'll get there when I get there, type of thing. You know, it's typically the people that are more like, oh, I don't know about that one. It's like at the end of the day, you have to want to invest in your music. You know, like your music is your product. You know. And you're the CEO of your product. And like, you know, I don't care if you have an amazing product. If you're not letting people see it, then, you know, how are you going to get to that, advance to that next level to where like you do become successful, you know? So it's just sad to watch from a outer perspective. So definitely people that are more open to, you know, listening to me.
That makes, yeah, you're right. That makes all the sense in the world. Before an artist would come to you, when they would come to you and you would sort of like counsel them, what kind of materials would they need to bring you to work with?
Honestly, I don't necessarily have like specific like requirements for people that are wanting to work. I mean, obviously, you know, I want to see that, you know, you have good music out. You know, I want to see that you're posting quality content. you care about engaging, even if you don't have like a big like if you don't even if you don't have like a big following or like a ton of fans, like if you're engaging with everyone at a small level, people will like really connect with you on that. Like I feel like a lot of people, like also people that are like more like, I don't know how to explain it. Like I like when people don't get too big of like too ahead of themselves, you know, like know exactly where you are, you know. I know a lot of people that are very like ahead of themselves with a couple thousand followers and, you know, little to no streams, which is okay, but know where you are, you know, and understand your journey and stuff, you know what I'm saying? And then I'll have people that are very humble and they're, you know, they're racking in 500,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. And they're just like, yeah, man, I just, you know, I'm trying to get there. And then I have people, like I said, they're like smaller that are just like, yeah, dude, like I know what I'm doing. Like I got fans and stuff. I'm like, you gotta be humble and experience that journey and enjoy it, you know. Don't get ahead of yourself.
So obviously when we're talking about marketing, like we're marketing to fans, but nowadays we're also marketing to record companies as well. What do you think when it comes to marketing makes, you know, when it comes to like streams and subscribers, makes an artist look attractive to a record company or someone that might give them a deal?
So that's really good. I actually talked to somebody that I know that works with a lot of really big artists, and I mean, I can tell you right now, I mean, they don't, even if you have, I mean, I would say 100,000 followers minimum is something that, you know, people keep an eye on you. And a lot of people think that they have to reach out to labels, but in all honesty, like when I got to the point where I was getting somewhere, like I had labels coming to me. And people don't realize that, like, maybe it's not your time. People think, oh, I got all this good music and I got, like, trust me, they see you. Like, there's people that literally spend all day long, like, shifting, like they just look at music all day long on all these platforms. If you're doing something, they're going to find you. I can assure you that's their job. That's their 9 to 5, you know? So that's a big thing. But yeah, I mean, I definitely would recommend, just from my perspective and my experience, 100,000 minimum Instagram followers. Anything below that, I mean, in 2023, anything below that, I mean, they're just, you know, but also your monthly listeners have to follow up as well. So, you know, if you have 100,000 followers and you go to your Spotify and you got 5,000 monthly listeners, bypass pretty quickly, you know, because all they do is look through artists all day long. And a huge one, which kind of ties into one of the questions I was in the meeting chat, is Michael answered it correctly. It's TikTok. That's the biggest thing. I mean, like that is TikTok has definitely become like the gatekeeper of like the music industry. And nowadays I've heard of labels only looking at TikTok trends to find artists to sign. So like that is a huge thing to be looking at when you're wanting to market your music, is figuring out how to become trendy on TikTok with influencers promoting you and stuff, which is obviously all stuff that I work with.
Right. I'm just wanting to let everybody know, we see your comments in the chat and I love that the chat is alive. Keep dropping them in there. We're just going to ask Chris a couple more questions and then give you some information. And I promise we're going to turn it over to you guys because we want you guys to have an opportunity to talk to Chris. But Chris, what would you say, because Ralph Johnson loves this information. What would you say constitutes on success in online marketing? So you said 100K subscribers, right? And
Yeah.
then and what is it? Excuse me, minimum how many streams on Spotify do you think?
I would definitely say that so one of the big things you want to focus on that like a lot of labels look for is more so monthly listeners as opposed to streams, because someone can stream your music, you know, 20 times and you got 20 streams, but monthly listeners are like significant because it's like individual people that are listening to your music. And also, you know, you might have a song that, you know, gets gassed really quickly, you know, you could do some playlisting and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, like if you're like getting somewhere with your music, like your monthly listeners are going to like continue to grow and increase. And you want to make sure that you're doing everything in your power to make your monthly listeners grow and increase, because that's the first thing they look at. You know, you could have a song that's 2 years old that has 1 million streams, and that's great. But if you're pulling in like 5,000 monthly listeners because you're not dropping anything else or advertising the music that you have, then you could definitely get bypassed pretty quickly as well.
We talked about subscribers. Are all subscribers good subscribers? Is there a certain kind of subscribers you want? How engaged do you feel like you have to be?
Yeah. So I think when it comes to like subscribers, which is also, the same thing as followers, right? Anybody that's, connected to you in some way, listeners, whatever. I think that I would say that you just have to be careful. I don't think like when you talk about like all subscribers being good subscribers or like all followers being good followers, I think that you want to have that look down, you know what I'm saying? You want to try to stay as organic as possible, but understanding like, I mean, you got to beat the bus, you know what I'm saying? Like you got to get ahead, and like, it's a cutthroat industry, and you want to make sure that you are ahead of the ball game.
Can you repeat that? We lost you for like 1 second. We don't want to miss any of the stuff we're saying.
Oh, no worries. So I was just basically saying like you definitely want to get ahead in any way possible. And if you have quality content, you have quality news, like everything has to be put together and look very nice. You know what I'm saying? So I know that there is definitely people that boost, their growth. And I think that honestly, I'll just say you have to make things look nice. You know what I'm saying? Like with your content, with your music videos, with everything, like everything has to be well put together. A lot of times, like people will, boost and then they'll throw organic on top, whatever, like, to each his own. But I mean, at the end of the day, like you have to convert into real followers. So you have to like have, a sense of a real fan base, you know what I'm saying? Like, and labels will be able to fish through that pretty easily. So like, yeah, definitely, I would recommend. And another thing to piggyback off of that is like, so like with the whole like social media, marketing stuff that we do, a lot of what we do is like reaching out to clients and things like that. And I have somebody. Can you guys see me?
We can.
Okay, my picture disappeared, so I don't know if you guys can see me anymore. So like one of the ways, like you have to have a good appearance, and you have to look the part. So you see like in like music videos, people will be wearing like designer clothes, and they'll be posting pictures in designer and stuff like that. And a lot of people think that like, what's the purpose of that? And there's actually like a really good purpose. And I mean, that ties into business in general. When I was doing like social media marketing, when I first started, I was going out to like big events with like entrepreneurs and stuff. And we were renting like Ferraris and Porsches and, supercars because, it was a great way to network and connect with people, So I know, like, again, you yourself, you got to promote and market yourself in a way that people are attracted to. It doesn't have to be designer clothes or anything like that, but I do understand that concept. You got to play that role, and because at the end of the day, it's the entertainment industry, like you want to entertain people in whatever way possible. So if you have like a cool lifestyle, they're going to be more, prone to follow you. If you have a larger following, they're going to be more prone to follow you. So like if I'm, a 12-year-old kid who loves hip hop music and I see, this dude over here with, 300,000 followers and, all their content looks really cool. They got professional music videos, like, and then I see this guy over here who has 5,000 followers, like, hypothetically, I'm going to go follow this guy who's already bigger. Most people are not going to be the people that try to start trends. Most people are going to follow the trends. So like, you want to be that stature and have that credibility to where like people are already like wanting to follow you and stuff like that. So
the chat is looking really good. So I'm only going to ask you one more question, and then we're going to have Quinn give out some information, but people have some really good questions in the chat. So the last question I'm going to ask is, so we've definitely talked a lot about like subscribers and streams and you know, the online part of it. Is there a part of it that you do that helps translate subscribers or followers into ticket sales or like for live music?
Yeah. Okay. So I guess you're speaking like, is there ways to take your followers and make them engage more, essentially?
Like to physically jump in their cars and buy tickets and go to your shows?
Yeah. Well, I think that a lot of that definitely relates back to just being able to relate with people and like, you know, not being afraid to engage with people, because something that I've always learned, like even whenever I was like an influencer in high school, it was like just engage with people, engage with your fans. They're gonna be more prone to be like attracted to you. And like if you spoke to them once, like we would do things like, or we like have we'd call fans and stuff. Like I would get on like You Now, which was like a platform where you know streamed, and we'd call fans, and we just do all that allowed people to engage with you, you know. And so even when it came to like so for people can go on Instagram Live, you know, that's a really big tool that you can use to engage with your following. Get on Instagram Live and chat with people, talk to people about some upcoming projects. Even if you have a couple viewers in there, like that's better than zero, you know. And so like definitely engaging with people, even in your comments. Definitely be engaging in your comments, responding to people in your comments. Obviously that's going to make your comment number go higher, which looks more attractive. But also, you know, people like when you engage with them, when they feel connected to that person. I went to a Drake concert when I was 16 years old, and I'll never forget. He stopped halfway through the show and just started pointing out people in the crowd, and like just pointing out their shirts, the color of their shirts, and saying, "Hey, I see you." And I remember I was in like a VIP section, because my friend, his family got him a VIP section to a Drake concert in downtown Nashville. And I had a green Hollister sweatshirt on. And Drake said, "You there in the green sweatshirt? I see you, man." And I remember I bought all his merch that night. I was like, I bought his CD. It was for the Take Care album. So I bought everything, you know what I'm saying? So I was so connected from that point on. I just had this fuzzy feeling the rest of the night. I'm like, Drake saw me. Like he acknowledged my presence, you know what I'm saying? And so it's that type of stuff that people really like and people really relate to, is that like you can be relatable, you can be personable. You know, people like, why do you think The Rock is the most famous celebrity on planet Earth right now? Because people feel like they can relate to him. You know what I'm saying? Like he's relatable, he's nice, he's caring. He posts these random videos of him in the gym talking about encouragement and uplifting. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like everything is very like positive, and he loves to like engage with people and then do things that like help people relate to him more on a personal level. And that's something that you really got to focus on, because if you're just some random and you just like distance yourself from everybody that's engaging with your posts, like you're already a celebrity, like they're gonna fall off. You know what I'm saying? Like you want to be personable, you want to like be nice to people and level with people, not act like you're superior than everyone else. Just come down, meet them where they're at, and say, you know, like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's one of the best ways to really, really connect with people as a musician, 100%.
Nice. Well, I am going to turn you over to Quinn, which means you'll be in good hands, and you guys can talk about some stuff. And then let's get back to this chat. So there's some great questions in there.
So I'm wondering, since Drake saw you in that green Hollister shirt, is that why you ended up working at Hollister with me? Chris I used to be his manager at Hollister back in the day. And,
yeah, I think I was already working there at that point. That's probably why I had the Hollister gear. I got a discount.
Awesome. Exactly. And speaking of discounts, Chris is actually running specials for any members of Music Alliance Affiliate Plus. Right now it's starting at like just $6 to join for the month, or there's several different benefits. Look in the comments, you'll see this landing page. You go there and you join as a paying member, and you can get thousands of Spotify streams, followers, playlisting, all the stuff Chris does as he's a coach with Music Alliance. Just go to that landing page. We'll reach out to you and we'll coach you through it. We'll find out where you're at as a musician, and Chris can get you there, right? I've actually gained thousands of followers working with him myself. I'm not even in that industry, in the music industry for the most part. But I've seen him work with, Mike Jones, Lil Xan, a bunch of other top level people. So be sure to click that link in the comments. And I'm just gonna get to the questions that we haven't answered from the audience now. So one of the ones we haven't answered is, well, John asked, how do you advertise your music? And I guess that's a pretty generalized question, but what would you say, Chris?
So I think that, advertising can be anything. I think, running with, I think, Music Alliance works with, running like Facebook ads and, Google Pixel and stuff like that, right? So getting with someone who's very, very experienced in running ads, that's obviously a really good way to market yourself. Obviously, like I said, advertising yourself, definitely TikTok is a very useful platform. That's something that obviously, working with Music Alliance is something that I can help you with as well, on the Music Alliance end of the spectrum. And so TikTok, we work with tons of influencers ranging from 100,000 followers to millions of followers that will literally, like, this is paid advertising. This is what it is. Like, they'll start a trend with your music. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that's so beneficial right now that a lot of people don't understand. Like, they just think that, they're just gonna put out content and hopefully it gets picked up. And, essentially you have you have a better chance of winning the lottery. And, because there's a lot of it doesn't mean that your music is bad. It just means that you're not marketing properly. And there's people out there that are working a lot harder or a lot smarter. You know what I'm saying? We're smarter, not harder. And so you just got to be smart with everything. You got to treat it as your baby. You got to treat this, I would never, if with the experience that I have right now, if I, transferred back into music, I would make sure, I'm not going to put a number behind it. But I will say that I would never drop a song ever without having some sort of marketing budget in place to figure out, like, okay, what am I going to spend on ads? What am I going to spend on marketing? Okay, we have TikTok influencers. We're running through Music Alliance for TikTok influencers. We're doing like some Instagram growth. You know what I'm saying? We have maybe some influencers on Instagram doing some story posts or whatever, like promoting our music or sound. Even like getting on, like there's getting playlisting through Spotify, playlisting through Apple Music. We have people that can help you get charted on like iTunes. Like, we have a lot of different really cool stuff. And so, like, I would always have a budget in place before you ever drop a single, because that's how brands work with products. Like, you never just release a product without running any marketing or ads behind it. Like, that's just, what I'm saying? It's all business at the end of the day. And people have to realize, like, being a music artist, like, you're a businessman. You have to be a businessman. And it's really cool because, like I said, one of the biggest artists that I work with that's not major level, and he's got probably 500,000 followers, but obviously, he just recently got signed and he's got millions of views and millions of streams and he's working with some of the biggest artists I've ever seen. Like, this guy, like, I literally will FaceTime him, and he like works in like a real estate office. Like, he's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's a businessman, and but you don't realize, he's got a mouthful of gold in his music videos with like nice cars, but on the back end, like, he does real estate. He hustles in that way, and he funnels that money that he's making from real estate into his music. You know what I'm saying? So, like, a lot of people think like, oh, I'm a music artist, I'm not going to do this, do that. Like, one of the biggest ways that helped me was I worked valet for 3 years. I was making a lot, like, tips and just hourly, whatever. And I was taking all that money and funneling it into my music. And people are saying, how are you getting on these big platforms? You got like all these huge platforms promoting you and posting you, and like, you got tons of followers, and you're getting these music videos on these big like YouTube pages that have like 500,000 subscribers, and you get 100,000 views on your YouTube videos. Well, I was marketing my music. You know what I'm saying? I was taking money that I was making and funneling it towards my projects that I was dropping. And people don't understand that concept. They think, oh, that dude's just doing better than me. No, I'm just marketing my music because it's a business, and you have to treat it as a business. So people just, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Did that answer your question, John? Is that
Yeah.
what we're asking? Yeah.
Another thing is like, what's the best way to get on the larger platforms then? I mean, you got TikTok, of course, we're already on there. Facebook, we're already on there. 1,000 followers and 60,000 on one platform on TikTok. So, I mean, just seems like what you're saying, you're like stuck in one spot, but then, do we have to hire a marketing agency like you to market the music and advertise it?
Yeah. So I feel like with that, I mean, obviously like having like the connections is definitely the best. The fact that, I do work with a lot of, larger music artists. I have a lot of leverage in that aspect, a lot of experience in working with like influencers and stuff. So typically people that I work with, like it gets to the point where, like I know somebody that they know, and that helps a lot in that aspect. And so I think that's one of my biggest benefits to being a music marketer is the fact that like, if they, feel some type of way, I'm like, okay, well, I, you can see who follows me. You can see who I work with. You can see who like, who like all my like past experience clients. But on the flip side, like sometimes it's word of mouth, and a lot of people know that, I've worked with people that they know and stuff like that. So I think it's just like, you can get on any platform, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, stuff like that. I think the biggest thing is just like understanding what works in terms of like marketing. So, when you got TikTok, you need like the biggest way to blow up on TikTok is having obviously like posting content all the time. But on top of that, like having like if you're a musician, I would be posting, I would be working towards like finding a way, which obviously that's what I do, to have influencers market your music. So, typically people will come to me with a budget and they'll say, I have XYZ of a budget, and I'll come back to them and say, okay, well, here's some influencers. Well, send me your music. I hear the music. Okay, here's some influencers that we will work with that I already have in my portfolio that we can start a trend with. So I'll tell you like the reach. Okay, all these influencers combined have over 20 million follower reach. So for XYZ, all these influencers are now going to post using your sound and trying to start a trend. And, from then on, like we've definitely seen campaigns where we've had like 5 influencers, and, obviously people want to trend off those influencers because they're fans of those influencers. And then I've seen stuff where it's like 200, 300 plus videos of just people like using that same sound, all because we had those major influencers, promoting that sound. So that's like the biggest concept, is just making sure that you can utilize the fact that like there's a lot of influencers out there that aren't very expensive. They're looking for stuff like this. They have a huge fan base, but they're not extremely profitable. So we're in an amazing time right now where you can work with influencers that have hundreds of thousands of followers, even upwards to like millions of followers, in some cases, who don't really charge an arm and a leg. And I think that we're walking into that digital era where a lot of these influencers are going to be very, very, very expensive, because they're understanding their value. They're understanding, how social media has become a huge priority in every business and brand. And so, a lot of these influencers that might charge a couple $100 for a promotion, where you're getting hundreds of thousands of views and reach on your product. I mean, I don't see that being, I only see that getting more and more expensive. So that's why it's like a very, very vital time right now to work with these influencers. I mean, I do myself, I work with some influencers for my own content, and I'm just like, holy, like, I can't believe that it's so cheap. I almost want to be like, come on, man, you can charge more than that, but like, I'm appreciative, but I think we are going into an era where things are going to get a lot more expensive. So this is a huge vital time right now where influencers are still trying to find their way to like profit. And so like, they're very open to, working on a budget,
Right. Okay. So, and you got the connections to influence, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I have a lot of influencers I work with on a first name basis. I mean, one of my best buddies is that's an influencer, is like Cameron Dallas, Aaron Carpenter. I mean, these guys have millions of followers. I mean, I met up with Cameron when I was in LA. He's got 20 million followers. And so, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, these are huge influencers that, are open to, doing promotion for certain types of products and music, anything. And so like, I definitely like, I have a long list of influencers, and especially working in the network that I work in, it's very, very scarce. Like there's not a lot of people in my niche that are that are like very credible. Like there's a certain amount of us, we're like a small group. And if I don't have a connection to a certain influencer that you're looking for, if you're looking for something specifically, I can assure you I know somebody who knows that person. It's a very small world once you get to the point where like you're working with people like this. So yeah, I definitely have a lot of tools and assets in terms of like working with influencers on all platforms. Absolutely.
All right. Well, since you like Ferraris, I want to make a video with him and you writing a song in a Ferrari.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, we rented a California T when we were in Miami last year, and it was nice. I will say I like my Mustang better though.
Yeah.
Nice. All right.
I'm a Mustang guy.
So that was paid advertisement, influencer advertising. Gene wants to know, what's a good way to organically grow your social media?
Yeah, it's a good question. So again, this is something that we can work through moving through Music Alliance. But there's a lot of different ways to grow your social medias organically, depending on which niche. From the TikTok perspective, we'll start with that. I would say the biggest thing, if you're a musician, is to maybe focus a little bit less on your content, because again, like with content, if you want to become a content creator as a musician, you might do stuff that's not necessarily stuff that you want to do, like that doesn't fit your what's the word? Like the image that you're trying to portray, because like with a content creator, they do silly stuff, they do goofy stuff. If you're not trying to portray that type of image, I would leave it to the content creators for that. You know what I'm saying? So stay in your lane in sense of like be a musician, focus on your artistry, and then with TikTok, most beneficial working with the influencers, like I said, having influencers, paying influencers to promote your products, being music, and trying to start trends with your music. When it comes to Instagram, I think that there's a lot of really cool methods that we use in terms of like giveaway growth campaigns, or just like shout outs on large platforms. Now you have reel collabs, which is awesome. So you have like Instagram Reels, which is a new way to really gain like the explore page method and stuff like that. Like back in the day, you post a shirtless picture with abs, and you're getting 1,000+ likes because what I'm saying, like you're hitting the explore page, you got a XYZ amount of likes right off the bat. Instagram picks up on that algorithm, boom, you're on the explore page, everybody sees it. So Reels, they're trying to come back because TikTok has that, obviously, which is why so many people blow up off TikTok. But Instagram Reels, they're trying to make that in the same sense where like algorithm really picks up on TikTok Reels, because Instagram posts are like completely dead. Like it's like, I feel like it's just, it's like I definitely post, but I feel like when it comes to Reels, like that's a huge method to like really reach people that are following you. And then the Reel collabs, like I said, like there's a lot of pages in your niche, whatever niche you are, like obviously like hip hop and rock, stuff like that. Like you could find big pages that'll do like Reel collabs with you. And then obviously their fans will see it and your fans will see it. So it's a great way to, like, I love that method, like with the niche that I'm in right now, because like, it's like, what I'm saying? It's not like they're shouting me out and someone has to go come to my page to like do engagement. It's like, I'm getting all of their engagement on the post. Like it's the most exciting method for me personally. And I think that that's something that people really need to take advantage of from a musical perspective, is like doing Reel collabs with people. If you're paying for like a big, artist that, you want to do a song with or feature with or whatever, like make sure you include in that deal, like I also want to post like a snippet of the song or whatever, and I want that Reel collab, because that's something that's going to really like, that's the easiest way for people to like, transfer over into your following and being engaged to like your content and stuff as well. Spotify, obviously working with independent curators as well as like algorithmic playlisting, and that's something that we provide as well. We definitely work with a lot of independent curators. I got a buddy, Mike. I've done a lot of business with over the last 2 years. He's very well connected. He's worked with a lot of big time celebrities, as well as, just upcoming artists as well that, have, a pretty decent buzz. And, he basically works with like a whole network of curators, like independent curators. And essentially, we work out like custom campaigns, and he sends off those curators. It's the most like organic way to like find a playlist that really will cater to your niche. And so I think that's a really cool concept as well, because we'll get your music over to him. Again, he's very experienced in like, figuring out exactly what type of playlisting will do well for your music. And also, like I said, we work on getting with like algorithmic playlists as well as independent playlisting. And he'll just like, he'll like, I let them do their work, and they figure out, different types of playlists that will be good for your song. So that's definitely the best way to grow your Spotify listeners. I don't know if I'm missing a platform.
No, you hit all organic growth. That was social media plus Spotify.
Yeah.
So I hit another platform. So
YouTube, of course, you run YouTube ads. And then something that I implemented whenever I was a music artist that was really beneficial is there is a lot of really, really big, there's a lot of really big YouTube channels. And of course you want to grow your YouTube channel as well. But something that I always did was I worked with like big YouTube pages, and I just promoted my videos on there. So I had Elevator, which is, I don't know if anybody's heard of Elevator, but it's a huge one, like Lil Skies and Lil Xan, like a lot of these big time artists used to work with Elevator. I had my music video on Elevator. It's a great way because, it's a huge fan base on Elevator. Like they were already established. It was a good way to get my name out there. There's a lot of really, really big music platforms that that's all they do is artists come to them, and if they have good content, like they'll, for a specific price, they'll post your content and stuff. And so I have connections to all those types of things as well. I'm just working with like really, really big platforms and influencers to like boost you, because I mean, there's so many out there. There's so many ways to like, for people to reach you. And it's just like, this person's already established, why not like advertise through him and have him, help me out with my listeners and, convert them over to my page. So.
absolutely. Yeah. And that was a great strategy. We had somebody from an iPhone who is asking for strategies. That's one. He said, can we get some strategies, websites, ad pixels, websites for organic growth? I'm not really sure what he's asking for there.
So websites for organic growth is going to be musicalliance.com. No, it's definitely, obviously that's why we're here telling you about some stuff that, we provide, but like definitely when it comes to like ad pixels, again, I just have to throw you over to Quinn, because you want to work with someone who really knows, who's really well versed in ads, because that's a very learning how to funnel ads is very tricky, and you can end up spending a lot of money and getting zero to nothing. So you definitely want to work with people who are very experienced in running ads. I work with tons of companies that they don't do a single thing. They work from an independent contractor. They work from someone outside of their business to run all of their ads. And that's like the smartest method nowadays, is working with people who just know how to run ads. And it's very profitable on the advertising side of things. But I think that's what like most businesses I work with, that's what they do, is they source ads. They outsource their ads through like different people like Quinn.
Media buying, it's a skill, and you totally need to hire a mentor, if not learn how to do it yourself, right? But it takes years, so you're going to want someone with some experience. That's a good part of what I do. So
Absolutely.
yes, sir. So Angie wants to know what's some advice for explaining to an experienced artist that they have a lot of room for growth, but without offending them. I guess she wants a tactful way of telling an artist that's very experienced that they got a lot of room for growth. Maybe they're not so humble as you were speaking about earlier.
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a really tough one, Angie, because obviously I don't know who this person is, if they're, someone that's like in relation to you, or, just like from an outside perspective. But I think at the end of the day, like just being real and real with people, and just telling them, letting them know, like, they're doing really well, but like explaining to them like, hey, like these types of things will actually help you a lot as well. So just make sure that like you're not neglecting the fact that like you can, there are methods to like continue to grow your following, like, because like I said, I work with a lot of people that were like, I mean, like some of them were very talented, but they just had no growth, no fan base. They had no type of like roadmap, blueprint on what they wanted to do with their music. And it was just like, it was very hard.
She put in some reference. They apparently have worked with Travis, Kanye, Future, and they're a songwriter, but they're now as a songwriter, they wrote for Kanye, Future, Travis, Scott, I'm assuming, and they're just now starting their rap career. So they obviously, yeah. So what would you say that?
That's definitely hard. I don't know what their relation is to those artists, but if they were just seen as a songwriter, then it's going to be hard. I know people that were like, I actually worked with a beat producer that worked for a major label, and he had a lot of big connections, but he was a beat producer, and he a really big head because he was in the industry and he knew a lot of people. But at the end of the day, like he didn't realize, like, to them, he worked for the label. He was a businessman, but he had a big head thinking, oh, I know these guys. So like, it's just something that, I think that, it's going to be, it can be definitely hard to explain to someone, especially when they have those type of connections, because it's easy to get, a little bit gassed up about the fact that you've worked with these people before. But at the same, like I literally know multiple people that have those types of names in their bios, but they have like no sort of fan base, no sort of following, but they're like, multi-platinum producer and this and that. And I'm like, that's amazing. But what you're trying to portray and promote right now, like, you're in a completely different niche in the sense that like you're trying to do music now. And so like, that's something that they need to understand. Like, they might have some sort of assets and tools from being a songwriter, but in a sense, they are kind of starting from scratch, And so if they don't understand that they're starting from scratch, and just like have a level head about it, then it can definitely be tricky. But just being honest, with, and if they're not receptive to it, then I mean, I hate to say it, but that's kind of on them, and you just kind of let people be people. When people argue with me that they think they know more than me about social media marketing, they think they're doing really well for themselves, and I don't say anything. I'm like, okay, well, to each his own. Like I'll find somebody that's hungry enough to work with me, and that wants to work with me, and like that's a way better that's way better chemistry anyways in business. I don't want to work with people who don't want to work with me. I want to work with people who are hungry, who are ready, who are saying like, I want to do this. Like, I want to become successful in the music industry. I'm excited to do this. Like, and I like working with those type of people. So.
Awesome. And Ralph just joined the community as a paid member. Shout out to Ralph. We'll be reaching out to you.
Smart move.
Yeah. Awesome. And yeah, Angie gave some more background. He has 500,000 monthly listeners, and he's doing well, but he doesn't care to work on marketing with a strategy. So I guess, he's got to start.
Yeah, it's tough.
Right.
Yeah, it's tough. And you can never be too big. You know what I'm saying? So like sitting at like 500,000 monthly listeners, that's amazing. That's phenomenal. And most people will never reach that, but that's still not, like as a music artist, like there's always levels to this, and so, you might be in sales. It's the same concept. Like you might, like I worked with somebody who, this was a while ago, but I told him he asked me for my sales. I was going to work with him on some like mentorship stuff. And I told him my sales for the year, and he was like, I make that in a month. And so, what I'm saying? Like there's different levels to that. And just being understanding, showing humility in that sense is like, okay, like 500,000 monthly listeners, like don't, what I'm saying? Don't like be happy and encouraged that you're at that point, but also be humbled enough to know like, okay, like this is nowhere near where I want to be. And so I got to take those next steps. I'm not too good for marketing or advertising, which I've never heard someone say that, but always be like, what I'm saying? Like think about Rihanna. She performed at the Super Bowl for free. Why? Because she wanted to promote her makeup brand. she wasn't too good for it. She knew that that was going to be amazing advertising, so she didn't even want to bottle with pricing and this and that. She's like, "Look, I'll do it for free. Just let me promote my makeup brand like during the halftime show." And she did that. And a lot of people would be like, "Oh, like this is a great way to get money," but like you got to think about like, you know what I'm saying? You got to really be invested in your product and like enjoy it and like, you know what I'm saying? Like you gotta like it's not all about like the money and just like, oh, like you got to humble yourself and know like what's beneficial to you, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. That was awesome. And yeah, Angie agrees. Hunger is the exact word that this individual needs, who's getting to the high level, but he just maybe needs to stay hungry.
You got to stay hungry. Yeah, stay hungry. Because once you stop, I mean, you know, you might, you know, you're going to capsize.
Angie says, "Thank you." So any other questions for Chris before we wrap up? Oh, she wants your socials. They're all Chris Kinney, right?
Yeah, just
All right, I'll put it in
yeah.
there.
Instagram is probably my main source, which I do a lot of like fitness stuff now, but you know, that's again like I'm still in the music marketing. I still work with a lot of really cool people, but converting into the fitness niche because that's something that I enjoy. But I'm still like really big into music marketing. I still work with a lot of big music artists. I'm just using my leverage and the marketing skills that I have to do something I enjoy as well.
Yeah, I got one question. So is there any other cost secured, what we're going to have to pay and everything once we sign up?
So the membership is only $6 for the first 3 months at Affiliate Plus, and then it goes to $12. The same for Pro, which is $12. Then it goes to $24 at month 4, and then Elite, which is the highest, $24 a month for those. And in that landing page, you'll see the benefits. But the services that Chris provides, like for 5K streams on Spotify, for instance, and or a playlisting, it might be $250. But if you sign up just as an affiliate for $6 a month at first, it's like $190 or $180 that service gets discounted. And if you get Pro, it's even discounted anymore. Elite, it's like $150 just to work on that level.
We're going to pay for paid advertisements, whether it's on Facebook or YouTube or anything, right? So
yeah, you got to have ad spend, but you're definitely going to want someone like Chris or a media buyer, like myself, to counsel you and kind of guide you on
right.
the demographic targeting, et cetera. Right.
Right. Well, I really appreciate it. And I thank you guys for being so knowledgeable and sharing everything.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
That's what I'm here for. I like this question down here, saying, I know you moved away from music to pursue a different side of it. Could you do both? Why did you move away? So that's a good question. So obviously, like, something that you might be thinking is, okay, like Chris is very knowledgeable about the music industry. He had connections. Why did he quit? Well, long story short, I was, pursuing music. I quit actually as a signed artist under Empire, which is, I don't know if you know the independent label Empire, which XXXTentacion, a lot of big major artists were signed to. I was, like they found me at a show that I sold out in Nashville. It was insanity. And then I was shooting music videos in LA and with like a lot of big artists. Swaco the Child was in my latest music video, which he has that song Fast. So like like I was very, very well connected. I was definitely on the way to being, to some extent a celebrity in the music industry. And I know that for a fact. So there's definitely a lot of spiritual reasons for sure as to why I moved away. But also for me, I kind of realized that I didn't necessarily want to be in that position anymore. I kind of wanted to just like, once I got in the position, like, cause I had a lot of artists around me that I was kind of mentoring through the time that I was growing myself. And I kind of fell in love with like helping other people and like mentoring them as opposed to like lifting up myself in the music industry. So, I mean, I also got married, so that was a big plus as well. And I realized I wanted to get into the business side of things. I didn't know how I felt in like a lot of different perspectives. You know, bringing my wife into the, you know, into that specific industry. If I was a celebrity, would I be home enough? Exposing her to different things that, you know, we necessarily didn't want to be exposed to. And so like, I think that, you know, being in the music industry and you know, wanting to get to that stature has a lot of pros, a lot of, you know, it's a huge, cool opportunity for you to be a light to people, encourage people, and you have a fan base, and you're able to like, you know, connect with people and make profit off of that, obviously, but also like just, it's a really beautiful thing to be able to get in the music industry in that sense. But I think that as I grew, I just realized that I preferred helping people and helping people get to where they wanted to be, more so than I liked like helping myself. So that's kind of why I kind of ventured off into getting into the social media marketing and helping people grow their fan base, because like I feel like there was a lot of there was a lot of people that are way more talented than I was that weren't anywhere near where I was, and I almost felt guilty. I'm just like, if they only knew this type of like skill sets that I knew and the knowledge that I knew, they would long have surpassed me, you know? So it's like, I really wanted to like be that, you know, in that sense, like help people that I knew had so much talent. They had no idea what they were doing. They were just putting out music. And I'm just like, goodness gracious. Like if you just knew some of the stuff that I know, it would definitely be very beneficial. So.
Went to making people's dreams happen, and that's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. And I've gotten to watch a lot of cool stuff like that.
Awesome. Well, it's 8. We're going to start wrapping up. Any final questions? We'll wait for a few seconds, put them in the comments, but if not, you can catch Chris Kinney at Music Alliance. Angie just sent you a message, so reach out to him at Chris Kinney. Angelina wants to know how the membership works, so I'll explain that before we go. So there's, all of you are now an associate member at Music Alliance. That's free. You have like the access to your account. You can get on the graffiti wall, talk to people there. We're about to have paid coaching sessions with Chris each month. He's going to teach a little bit more and in depth on every topic in music marketing. So at just the starting out at $12 a month, which will only be $6 a month for the first 3 months, affiliate plus, you'll be able to enter those coaching sessions. Not just his, but we have a career builder. We have like half a dozen, almost 8 other coaching channels as well. So it's a full service to all musicians. Then there's the pro level, which you can do all the benefits of the first 2, but you get thousands of courses as well. Some of them made by us. Skrillex's brother teaches Ableton. You can learn how to produce, make EDM, make instrumentals for rap, etc.
Yeah, I want to chime in for a second.
Yeah.
Sorry, Quinn. Definitely, as from an outside perspective, don't think of courses as anything other than what they are. Like, but also like a lot of people like kind of like bypass when they hear the term course, because they might think, oh, it's scammy or this and that. I've learned so many tools through courses. So definitely let that be an importance in as like a music artist, like learning from people. Like knowledge has definitely got me very far, being whatever I wanted to be. And so like definitely take advantage of like courses and stuff like that, because again, like you're learning things and you're like hearing from people who have a lot of experience and stuff. And so like I feel like a lot of people just think of a course as like, oh, like I don't want to take that, you know what I'm saying, like it's school or something. But if you really want to become successful, you got to learn to learn. You got to learn to listen to people and hear people's advice for certain things and stuff. So I just want to chime in about like that and pertaining to courses.
Exactly. Thank you, Chris. Yeah, they're like a mini mentor, if you will, right? So, and then the final level is elite, which is usually $49 a month, only $24 a month. And that one you get actually track reviews included. So once you make a track, we have from Studio DMI, people could actually review those, give you some advice, some really professional advice from some Grammy nominated individuals that work there. We're actually getting a few more questions in, so that we're just going to ask a couple more and then we're going to wrap up. Rishi says, I do digital brand consulting for artists, run a record studio, and he's looking to shift into more of a record label model. What would you suggest for him shifting into a record label model?
Is this the one that says I'm in branding, graphic design, web design?
A little bit up. He says, I do digital branding.
Oh, okay, I see it.
That's cool.
I do digital branding consulting for artists, run a recording studio, looking to shift into more of a record label model. What would you suggest? So maybe I don't have too much experience in this question, but I think that when it comes to like shifting into more of a label, obviously you want to have like you definitely want to really just have like I definitely have money, because I think the biggest thing, working with someone who has funds to fund like the music artists that you might be signing. Not saying like run 360 deals or something like that, but obviously in the sense that you gotta have, because honestly, like I look at labels as just like you have a lot of people who have a lot of connections. That's the first and foremost thing. You want to have a team that's working for you that has a lot of connections in every single aspect. It doesn't matter marketing, just like networking, advertising, everything. You know what I'm saying? So even like content creation, people that are like part of like the media content and stuff like that, making sure that the artists are like up to par with like their content. But also you want to have funding. So that's the biggest thing that labels have. So when they sign you, they say, okay, we'll give you this, you hear like $1 million deal, right? So they'll, you have $1 million deal plus a lot of connections. And so like, that's why those artists take off, because it's like, okay, we're going to give you $1 million to fund your music career. And on top of that, we have a ton of connections from every single aspect, of the music business that's going to help you with, recording, like you said, like in a professional studio. And we have people in the marketing team that are going to market your music. We're going to put you on platforms. We're going to get you playlisting. We work with a lot of, so like, you definitely want to have those two big things is like funding, some source of funding. And then, you want people that are working for you that have connections in every single aspect of the industry.
All right. And then the follow-up question, which will be the final question. I guess Rishi would like advice on how to go about funding it. And I'm assuming maybe it was our Nashville rapper who may be doing real estate might be an answer.
Yeah. So if you're a music artist yourself, definitely like side hustles are the biggest thing that help artists. But I think that finding funding, I mean, there's a lot of ways you can find funding. I mean, you could start a business and there's a lot of websites that you can use that, people like just investors, people that want to invest in something that you have. So like approaching investors, obviously just have like a nice roadmap, blueprint. A lot of investors are very old school. So you don't want to just come to them and be like, I got some music artists that like, I want to start a label and like out of my base. You know what I'm saying? Like you want to make sure that you have like everything up to par and professional and obviously written. And so like documented. So like definitely there's websites. I can't think of, they're called like angel investors. So I'd definitely Google like angel investors. And just there's different websites where you can kind of just like reach out, or you just write a post, like it's almost like a thread explaining everything that you're doing and why you need this specific amount of investment. And obviously they're going to want like a return on it in the next prior years and stuff like that. So I would definitely just make sure you have like all your eggs in order with that, and find a website that like that works with angel investors, and then just connect with somebody who understands what you're doing and believes in what you're doing, and then just be relational, like.
Awesome. Yep. And thumbs up from Rishi. So, well, that's all the time we have, everybody. There's a lot of value there. I learned a lot. Hopefully you all did as well. And Chris will be continuing to teach with us every month in his own coaching channel. So if you haven't joined the community yet as a paid member, please join musicalliance.com. and we'll keep you growing, we'll keep you learning, and we'll get your music heard. So thanks everybody and good night.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Thanks, everybody. See you soon.
Appreciate it, guys.